Hello guys, Termex here and welcome back to another Once Human video. Today we're going to be going over certain items you may or may not be using incorrectly. Now this could just be due to lack of experience or lack of information that's actually out there on a few of these things. But the first thing I want to go over, which is probably the thing a lot of players I think are doing pretty wrong right now, is when it goes into your calibration. Now calibration is a mechanic in this game that allows you to basically boost your armor and your weapons. So if you go into a gear workbench, go on the very top calibration tab, you can see here when you calibrate a weapon, they unlock these extra attributes as you keep going forward. So at tier 2, tier 6, tier 10, you get these attributes, but it is at a cost of materials. And this is for everything. You see the shotgun gets more range and accuracy, elemental damage, this melee weapon gets more stats, so on and so forth. But this is also applicable to your armor. As you see, I max calibrated some of my armor here because it's what I'm going to be using. But I want to tell you guys that the resource called Stardust Source that is meant for the calibration is something that a lot of people are kind of digging into tier 1 blueprints, and a lot of people don't realize that tier 1 blueprints are basically the bottom of the barrel. Getting your renegade set or getting your armor that you want this season is nice, but don't expect to keep any resources you put into any of these armors, because if we go over into our blueprints here and I go to my armor personally, you can see when I go over to my jackets, the little blueprint, the little stars in the top left, at least for purple, goes up to tier 5, legendary goes up to tier 6. You'll see here, every time you level up a piece of armor, it will increase the amount of HP you gained and the PSI intensity. All this is very important for your tankiness, and you have to remember, if I have a tier 1 over here and I max calibrate it, that 1381 will go up to maybe 2450, or if I have a max level blueprint, I start with 1685, and a tier 10 calibration on a tier 5 blueprint will probably be in the low to mid 3000s comparatively to this over here for a very similar material cost. But I will say it does get more expensive as the game progresses and the game moves on. So for the Stardust Source, right now, at least for my calibration on tier 2 blueprints, every level takes about 425 a weapon, so I imagine it'll be 425, then 950, then 1500, and then the final one will be 2000. And I see a lot of people, they have these tier 1 snipers, tier 1 assault rifles with shrapnel, and they're putting in 2,000-3,000 Stardust Source into their build, but they have to realize that is all gone the second you level up your blueprint, because the next tier of blueprint is going to be miles better. So how do you remedy this, and how do you fix this mistake? I recommend doing your calibration to a point to where you're not spending a whole ton of your Stardust, maybe when it hits the 30s or 40s, but putting in 100 plus per level on your armor just seems absolutely ludicrous for the current state of the game. You have to remember this game is a long-term game. You're going to be farming resources season to season, and you don't want to use all your most important resource, which is Stardust, that you get from your events, from your daily login, from your seasonal challenges, from running dungeons, doing endgame content. This resource is everywhere. The issue with it is it's not very abundant. But really quick, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, War Thunder. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game that is now available to play for free on PC and console. You as the player can take control of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, I mean even ships. Immerse yourself in a intense combat of War Thunder, where incredibly detailed vehicles, realistic graphics, and authentic sound effects place you right in front of the action. If you want to be a part of the worldwide community of over 70 million players in these epic PvP battles, then click the link in the description down below or in the pinned comments of today's video, and you will receive a massive bonus pack, which is available for brand new players and returning players that haven't played for at least 6 months. This pack is limited time only, so what are you waiting for? Dive into the action. The second thing I see a lot of people doing, even streamers are doing this, I don't know why, your Eclipse Vortexes. These Eclipse Vortexes are used for the defense mode for your home base, and that is the primary source of getting Starchom week to week. So if we go over to my little defense base over here, which I showed off in another video where I showed you how to get the most Starchom week to week, we go into here, and I see a lot of people using the blues, the purples all together, and they just throw them in here. But what they don't realize is there's a weekly purification. calibration limits. Now, this limit is 40 of these vortexes per 7 days. That doesn't mean 40 purples, 40 legendaries, 40 blues. It's whatever 40 that you personally put in there. So obviously, to get the max 4,000 per week, you're going to want to get legendaries only. Now, as a solo player, it might be hard to farm 40 per week, but if you have some friends and you put all of yours together, you guys can bundle them up into one defense, do the defense together, and you will all reap the benefits. But how do you upgrade these vortexes? You will need a synthesis bench, which you can do this here, and you go over into the vortex tab. In order to make a purple one, you need 3 of the normal ones, and then in order to make a legendary one, you need 3 of the purple ones. To my knowledge, there is no other way to get the Eclipse vortexes other than actually doing dungeons or killing tougher enemies in the open world, and I have gotten a few from the public crisis events. I have unfortunately not done any warband activities, so I cannot speak how hard or easy it is to get in that matter, but all the time, 100%, if you are going to be doing the defense missions at your base, which you 100% should be doing, only use legendary cortexes, as there's really no other reason to use the lower tiers, especially if you have some friends by your side. And the last thing I will mention with people are using wrong, I see a lot of people just throwing these away, are your calibration blueprints. Now, I don't know if people made more in-depth videos explaining these, but what these do is they allow you to replace attributes on an item. But if you go over into calibration, these little things here, replace common attributes, then you click here, it would pop up a list of all the blueprints you have duplicates of, and this will allow you to swap out the perks that are on the weapon. So for example, if you have a calibrated 10 gulped lore, but you really don't want elemental damage, even though it helps out Unstable Bomber, what you can do is if you got other fragments for the sniper with different common attributes, you can trade off one of these attributes so you didn't have to be stuck with these and basically curate your own build. I know the system seems a little bit complicated, but I see a lot of people scrapping these attributes for no reason. Those attributes allow you to basically fight the RNG system in this game. And while we're on that topic, I'm going to talk about blueprints as well, because I could make another video on this, but I'd rather you just watch this. Blueprint fragments, how they work, TLDR. Every blueprint fragment has a name: Huntsman, Wanderer, Operator. The way you can tell, check the bottom left of every weapon or armor. Now, in order to upgrade your blueprints, we can see here I have 155 Operator blueprints. I have no common or legendaries, but I do have some epics and blues. What I can do with this is if I find a Operator blueprint, so let's find it together. Operator gloves. No, I need something that I have already crafted. All right, so this pistol right here, the Dusty BP. If I go over to the Dusty BP, you can see here, if I want to enhance it, I go over into my blueprints, and I have the Operator right here for the weapon. Now, 40 of these will give me a set amount of XP towards the weapon, but it won't level it up because I don't have enough. But you may be asking, Termex, I thought we just had 155 Operator fragments. Well, this is where people are getting confused. If you see, check out this side of the screen right here. I'm going to click a button and look at all those numbers change. All those numbers are changing because weapons and armor are separate blueprints. I'm saying that again. Weapons and armor fragments are separate from one another. A lot of people are getting so confused, submitting bug reports saying that they have 200 Juggernaut, but they can't do anything. They are completely separate. So, if you look here, I have 55 Wanderer, but over into my weapons, I have 280. So, if I go over into a Wanderer on the Deagle, look at all the blueprints I have to infuse to make this blueprint better. Now, each blueprint tier will give a different amount of XP. So blues, if I put in just one blue here, the one blue would give me 3 XP towards the weapon. But if I put in, let's say, one purple gives me 10 XP towards the weapon. And if you had legendaries, I could assume it would be a lot more than 10 because legendaries are quite rare and expensive. But I just want to let you guys know that your blueprint fragments, that's how they work. That's how you infuse them into weapons. And there is a key difference between the weapon and the armor. Depending if it's a purple or a legendary, I would wait to calibrate on tier 2 or tier 3, but that's a good thing to live by. I'm going to copyright that slogan, wait to calibrate. Once again, thank you War Thunder for sponsoring today's video. If you're on Xbox, PlayStation, or PC and want to hop into the action, click the links in the description down below or in the pinned comment. That's the goal in Once Human, and that is the end of the video. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to let me know in the comments as I read every single one of them. And make sure to leave a like on it so it spreads out to more people in the Once Human community. I want to grow this audience as much as I can, so don't forget to subscribe if you never want to miss out on another video from me, guys. Stay safe, and I will see you all later.